Top left is going to be a red Zerg player from Onside Gaming. Let's see how he can do after a hot start. He's now playing a tough one. It is going to be Solar. Bottom right, our blue Terran player is going to be Storm Gaming's GuMiho. These two having some discussions. I have no idea what about, but perhaps we'll have a bit of translation from Crank at some point. Hatch gas spool all the way up from Solar as we get set to go. Game number 1. Gresvan has a map. Yeah, very interesting. This one has the forward base, right? This base over here, for example, is on this kind of attack path up, which I think the Terran players will absolutely adore in certain scenarios, so definitely intriguing. Otherwise, you just have the more standard bases you can be taking as well. Quite jokey into this these bases. As Solar. Yeah, Randy Solar says, I want to video this map in the future. GuMiho saying there's so many bases. Which is, to be fair, I think pretty good for Zerg, right? Definitely usually not a bad thing. Many bases means Terran map? Yeah, okay, if you say so. Okay. So I guess it's better than Moondance or Waterfall. Wow, okay, so really reaching on that one for the moment. Let's see how Reaper is poking around and pinging around here a little bit, guys. Trying to cause a little bit of chaos wherever possible. Get some damage done. Yeah, these two just having a good bit of discussion. Shout out to Crank, of course, translating for us. Talking about the base count and everything. That's yeah, I mean, Reaper is actually going to get himself cornered. Oh, does have a jump up over here. I thought he might have been in a little bit of trouble there for just a second. This can't be true. Karamap confirmed. Ay, ay, ay. All of the whining, guys. All of the whining. Unbelievable. What are they like, these StarCraft players, huh? He's going to be seeing 5 drones going down as Solar. Maybe he should do a bit more defending of Hellions instead of letting them burn up his mineral lines. And forgive me for some slightly slow commentary, guys. Just fixing up the next match for the off-stream games while we have this early game development. Apologies. Alright, so Banshee and Cloak is going to be coming up. As you see, Cloak coming in, Stim coming in. Everything looking pretty regular in terms of a Terran player who's going to be building into 3cc following up. So it wasn't super fast 3cc, it was 1-1-1. But as we get going, we are going to have now Cloak Banshees to harass, and we'll have that 3rd CC on the way. This just leads into a pretty regular situation. All things considered, as we will see. If this doesn't turn out to be a map, which is a little bit too large for the Terrans, I actually feel like this might be a decent middling ground of a map, right? Where there is a good amount of bases, there is a good amount of space, but there is also, a lot of attacking pathways that are very choked up, difficult to flank on, etc. And maybe that's good for Zerg run bys, but maybe also good for the Terran just to be able to push across and to be able to kind of take positions on some of the bases of the Zerg. So, yeah, actually, some longer games on TVZ on this map might be quite fun. Guess we will see soon as we have these two Banshees continuing to nip and nap at whatever they can find, just, again, looking for openings. 7 drones dead in the game, but 5 of them were off the Hellion run by initially. As we do see that Queen, oh, just staying alive. So that Queen is just about able to live. Didn't quite take the additional Banshee shot needed to kill. That is going to be... Well, now this CC lifting off, moving over to the 3rd base location. And GuMiho getting set up nicely himself. How easy is this 3rd to defend? Obviously, I think this is a scenario where you're definitely going to need a couple of wall-offs, some depots across some of these ramps up. Yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting one for how does a Zerg attack into this 3-base position, because it's not super easy to be set up to attack in from here, here, and here. It requires a lot of preemptive setup, right? So maybe a lot of time for the Terran to then work against that. Let's see if we ever get to see Solar being aggressive into the 3-base of GuMiho. Right now, the Banshees are lurking back to the top of the map, and GuMiho, with his first Medivacs and Marines, making his way up the left-hand side to see if there are any other openings he can utilize, see if he can maybe clean up some creep, push that back a little bit, especially in the center of the map. Pushing creep back in the middle of the map is pretty much always going to be a good thing. Even had a couple of Hellions left there just to help with a bit of splash damage against the Lings. Uh-oh, Banshees. Yep, that's not good. Obviously loses one straight away. And just pulling off to the side. Marines and Hellbats will continue to put a bit of damage in. A bit of creep spread going down, and Lingbane continuing to get set up as our 2-2 upgrades start up from GuMiho. What shield is about to finish. GuMiho just bringing a bit more into the center of the map. Marines, Mines, Hellbats. Ready for a bit of a push forward. And actually going to try and catch these Queens. Just going to see a couple of creep units do go down in that. Oh, that's a nice Widow Mine that was just lurking on top of the ram. Does very well. All these Marines just unloading. The Hellbats continue to set up also. And yeah, just GuMiho trading decently so far. That mine definitely helping just to slow Solar down that little bit. Definitely having a bit more of an impact than I think we would have liked to have seen. Little bits of extra damage being dealt here. Just going to be seeing our Banes, our Groove of Spines, all being brought in. So Solar bringing a lot of units forward. Still just playing that Lingbane Hydra. Has yet to really be, find a way to be aggressive. Sending some Lings down the map now might be one of his first opportunities to, work with that a little bit more. As the Lings run up, they're actually going to find this Widow Mine, so that's going to be a nice quick kill. It's a good wall off. So he actually walls off kind of more the command center than the ramps, which I suppose makes sense. Walling off the ramps. They're quite far away to actually then get units to defend. They're quite spread out. Makes sense just to wall the mineral lines so you can protect your SCVs from the Lingbane run-bys mostly. And even have units nearby to defend as well if needed. So yeah, full dose from GuMiho, and he does take a 4th in location as well, by the way, as these Lings do find their way around. Some units in the Medivacs can begin to unload a deal with these Lings. It wasn't really too many. The Mines will be burrowing, Marines still pressing forward, and a lot of creep spread being picked off here as one Widow Mine shot goes in, another Widow Mine shot or two. Actually trailing off into the forward units. A good split forwards from Solar, able to get those first units to absorb the mine shots. Hydra's Banes working their way down the bottom side. A bit of creep spread getting set up, and just going to be seeing a +3 attack upgrade from GuMiho now getting into play. Drone closes on the way as well. It's over halfway done at this stage, so continuing through with that, and That's going to be something to help him out later on in here. I mean, interesting that he never really moved away from mines despite it being the Hydra. Sometimes with Bling Bane Hydra, people will play a bit more tank-focused, especially because the Hydras can then turn into lurkers and the tanks can then help you already with that transition a little bit more than Widow Mines. That's unfortunate. First Widow Mine drop as Drilling Claws was about to be in play, kicked off immediately, although it was taking a bit of an awkward direction. Fire Force continues in here as we do see this hatchery having taken a bit of a beating. Doesn't actually go down, so Solar is able to defend. It feels like GuMiho loses out on a lot of units without really gaining much of anything. Look at the army supply lost in that fight when it updates here. You can see the big drop off from GuMiho. Solar obviously starts to rebuild very quickly. Resources lost about 2k in GuMiho's favor. Solar's starting to get some of his Hive Tech in play in the form of a Viper, in the form of Adrenal Glands. And even going to start working on the missile upgrades rather than a +3 melee. He has got that Lurker Den in play, and right now GuMiho's preparation against that is non-existent. No tanks, no ghosts, nothing. So Lurkers, if they get their upgrade started, are definitely going to start being a big issue in this map for GuMiho. Solar's been all over this game, hasn't he? He's not done a lot aggressively, right? I was just going to see how Lings and Bane's going forward here. Doing decently. Yeah, I mean, I guess I hold this thought because this might just be a fight to potentially end the game. Let's see how it goes. Just going to be seeing how Lings and Bane's continue forward. Just going to connect a little bit further in, and just going to be seeing our Bioforce not going to be able to hold on. That is going to be GG as Solar just swarms him. So, yeah, I was just thinking, like, Solar's really been all over this game. Defensively has been very good, apart from maybe the first few health. That's all good as we enter Error Home. Guys, do have to just take a moment to very quickly mention our sponsor, NordVPN. Thank you so much, NordVPN, for sponsoring the stream. Of course, if you want to check out NordVPN, you can ! Nord in the chat, get a link to a nice 2-year deal on a very good price. You get your first month free, and if you don't like it, you get your money back as well within 30 days. Fantastic for all of your usual VPN users. Privacy, connecting to servers you can't connect to as easily, maybe getting some different routing sometimes helps. All the usual great VPN things from YouTube, Netflix, all the rest. Check it out with !Nord in the chat. Always appreciate it. And every time you get your NordVPN subscription through my link, it does directly support the stream, and hence the StarCraft 2 we're able to produce for you. In the bottom left-hand corner of Error Home, it is going to be a yellow Terran player from Psystorm Gaming. This is GuMiho. In the top right, our red Zerg player is, of course, Solar, up 1 in this best of 3. If that isn't some, if that isn't some perfect selling out right there, there you go, Scarlet. I used Wardy's Nord code and would recommend. If that isn't a recommendation you guys can trust, I don't know what is. Boom. Just screenshot that. I'll just put that on the screen next time. Save me a minute of talking. Easy. Okay, what are these two talking about? Honestly, the one we just played was a Zerg map for sure. But this map, Terran map. Okay. Okay, so it's like, you know, I petitioned for that one to be a Terran map. Turned out it's definitely a Zerg map, but this one must be a Terran map. This one's short, though, right? Error Home does come from the... Oh, does it come from the rush category? Yeah, it does, right? Yes, so it is meant to be a shorter, more aggressive map. And typically, in TVZ, Terrans like rush maps, because the Zerg can't get as out of control on these maps, so... GuMiho says this map looks good for Zerg to fight, which actually might be fairly true. It's kind of choky, but there's a lot of different avenues. Unlike the last map where I said it's kind of difficult to kind of set up some of the flanks, because a lot of the pathways are very well defined. On here, there's almost always like ways to kind of like split here, and then engage, you know, and pincer in, right? So I think that's the sort of thing which you have to. I think that's the sort of thing which is probably good for Zerg. Kind of like how Curious Minds was very bad for Zerg in terms of the distance and the pushing potential of the Terran, but it was quite open, so the Zerg could get like a lot of like big open area fights. Like how Solar was just like, yeah, I'll just try and fight infinitely then, you know, insinuating that he's never going to get a chance to take a break from fighting anyways because of the map size, so... That's definitely a reasonable point. We'll see how it pans out in this game at the very least, as this drone gets to come across and become an extractor. This Reaper trying to get some damage done. That drone becomes a spore crawler, and the Reaper is going to end up backing away through to the middle of the map. Away it goes. I'm going to see GuMiho is going to play third CC before a second gas here, so is going to end up playing a pretty eco-focused game. Triple CC. More so than last game. Last game he was on double gas. He took the third CC about a minute and 15 seconds later, minute 30 maybe. So yeah, much different timing from GuMiho's point of view. Much more eco-focused this time, despite the map maybe being a bit more friendly to early attacks. And that might just be powering up onto 3 bases to then hit hard on 3 bases, right? That's one of the things that Terrans absolutely love to do when it comes to playing TVZ. The 3-base push can be extremely powerful and extremely tough to stop. I'm thinking where the Terrans might push into on this map. I guess kind of like... I feel like it is a decent map for Zerg being able to perhaps engage from different angles still. Absolutely, like what I was saying before. Interesting to see which direction GuMiho takes a focused attack. See what sort of position he tries to set up into. Those are the kind of things which I think really do become quite intriguing when we're trying new maps, right? See which positions the players like the most. See what bases they feel like they can hit the most easily. Be the safest attacking into. Link goes down, Marines and the Hellion there to help out a little bit. Just going to see our medevac up the top side. Your Hellion's unloading. This is something which Solo has just not seen. He's not prepared for at all. So let's see how his last second defense will be for 7 drones immediately. And they're still kind of lined up, unfortunately, for GuMiho. Only gets 1 more at the end, but now we unload to the low ground. There's no defenses here. And that's going to be at least a couple more workers. We do lose 2. At least they got out of range quickly enough. Well, 10 drones still hurts early, especially when it didn't cost GuMiho a thing. Yeah, it cost him the building of a medevac, but that medevac's still alive and usable. All 4 Hellions are still serviceable as well. Not even really much damage taken on them. Not even much need for repair. So, a really good piece of damage here early from GuMiho. Extreme efficiency. And yeah, I mean, usually when you do something like this, at least it's like, oh, well, at least there's less Hellions on the map. At least you don't have to worry about, maybe you're more vulnerable to, like, a run-by or something. Yeah, well, that's just not true at all in this case, right? Because the Hellions are still alive and they're still healthy. They didn't even need repairing. So yeah, all the usual kind of positives for us coming out of this and like, oh, well, maybe this or that isn't really in play at all this time around. Hellions will come over the side and a couple of creep teamers will go down. Things going back down around the bottom. Just going to be seeing our medevac and our Hellions continuing to back away. So, backing it up a little bit. 1-1 upgrades, combat shields all coming through. We do have our Hellions able to nab 1 more Zergling there. And just continuing to the center of the map right now. A couple of Queens coming through. This group spread still being picked away at our Lings. We're looking to try and get on top of the Hellions. Not quite able to, however, is just going to see a bit more creep being denied. Baneling's in trouble. I mean, GuMiho's timing is obviously good, plus the damage done earlier obviously helps with this being good. Straight up the middle on top of the 3rd base, and yeah, I mean, if not a single Baneling comes to fruition here, this is going to be a pretty quick game. There's a couple of Banes that do come out, get target fired down. Probably the same on these top 2. We get 1. The other one is now targeted as well. Yeah. If your Banes aren't allowed to connect how you ever meant to do well, I mean, Solo's going to somewhat clean this up, but a lot of damage taken. A few drones lost in the midst of all of this as well. And yeah, GuMiho is just going to be powering up with more units very shortly. Resources lost already, 1k in his favor this early in the game. That definitely has an impact. And Solo's not exactly steaming ahead on the work account either, 62 to 61. Gonna try and drop down a Hydra 10. Some Hydras will, would help you stabilize and do a bit better here. There's GuMiho on 5 racks. 3 bases, maybe. Just adds extra racks from here on out as well. Will stop +2 attack for the moment. Either way, I don't think he needs to do really anything too special. I think just any kind of consistent pressure here from GuMiho. I guess if he was going to slow it down a little bit, he could add 3 more racks and then go and really push on 8 racks, but Yeah, right now, 5 Rex is doing the job. The production's fine. He has to lift up. He has to back away a second, but just going to retake position a little bit. As we do have our couple Banes coming through. Queens getting some shots off. Now some Banelings taking some damage again. Medevac will lift up. Widow Mines burrowing up to try and defend as well. As you can see, the supplies starting to slip into GuMiho's favor. Each of these battles is absolutely just efficient and is absolutely starting to go a good amount of the way towards GuMiho taking a game 2 and tying up this series. Important one, obviously, first of the day for GuMiho, and then Solo looking to try and go 2-0 in this group. 2 players that are absolutely in this group capable of topping the group as well and getting a seed straight through into the round of 8, of course. More Banes connecting in, a few Marines going down. With the Widow Mine that's just not quite going to go down, actually. And as the Bioforce unloads one more time, Widow Mine burrows up, connection into a little bit of Ling Bane. Again, it's just a constant onslaught. As long as you don't let these Banes do too much, you should be good. I mean, we do lose a few units to the Bane lanes, enough to the point where I guess arguably GuMiho doesn't have much left over. He just doesn't have much left over in general, right? He's really streaming through every singular unit he can. 48 to 41 army supplies, so it's still in GuMiho favor. He's going to have 2-2 sooner than Solar. So he'll have a little bit of timing where his trades will be a little better due to upgrades. How much do these Hydras help Solar out? Is that enough to kind of really just shut this down? Hydra's obviously a little bit sturdier, able to hold their ground a little bit more purely than just the Ling Bane. They're a good back unit. Obviously, if they're just on their own, they die very quickly. But as a back unit to Ling Bane, it can work quite nice. Good Widow Mine shots. GuMiho really making the most of these. This one will hit an Overseer at least, which is a bit better. There's still a couple left over, although we'll kill one, we'll kill the other before it connects. So that's much better off here. And that low HP Medevac had all the Marines inside. If that got shot down as well, that also would have been a problem. Okay, Solar holds off kind of an initial kind of 2-2 timing. That's very important. That is going to give Solo a little bit of life and hope, at least in this game, as we move forward again. The Banes, the Hydras pushing forward. The Marines having to be careful, still getting pushed back. 3 Rex going to be finishing momentarily here. 3-3 upgrades still coming through on the side of GuMiho. Medevac pulling back. Of the Medevac of Marines coming around this bottom right-hand side as well. Just going to see a few additional Banelings are coming out. I'm just going to start unloading these Marines on that bottom side watchtower for a moment. Get rid of a little bit of additional troop spread here. Bane's Hydras all still moving through. Just gonna have a couple of Widow Mines ready to line up, and hits into the Hydras, hits into a couple of the others here and there as well. On the top side, we'll come forward and get rid of a few additional drones. Some more drones going down. We lift, now we jump into the main base. Well, we don't, we back away. I thought he could have gone into the main base though. That's one note about that base location, is that obviously jump into the main base from there should be a possibility. In some scenarios, you might want to do that. Credit to Solar, he's drawing out this game to the point where Lurker Den is building, Hive is coming up, but still in a bit of dangerous territory, right? Because the army supply is still heavily GuMiho favored, and he's going to have to build into some upgrades on those Lurkers before he can realistically get them out. But if he gets there, then Solar's got to feel pretty good about his position. Lurkers on a short map can actually be pretty good, because obviously they can just unburrow and get across the map and then siege up somewhere very quickly. The tables kind of turn a little bit for Terran players once the Zerg gets to those Lurkers. Of course, this is only a map with what? It's only what, like 6 bases each player? So it's not a map you really want to see go into the extreme late game as a Zerg, because you don't have enough bases to trade mega efficiently against the Terran. Typically, as that's a really good fight here for Solar. He's fighting on the other side as well. GuMiho distracted and making a mistake. I was just going to say, typically the Zerg doesn't want to go super late game because, yeah, you run out of bases. You trade less efficiently, and if there's not enough bases, then you just don't have the resources to trade less efficiently with. So you do need to kind of find ways to end the game before then, be a bit more committed to kind of lower tech armies, and just sending it and trying to break through and really have the Terran kind of broken down. Terran player's about to take a 5th base on the bottom side. Get a couple of moments from Solar, and if nothing else, it might give him a chance to get some Lurkers into play. We see Adrenal Glands coming up as well. The first missile upgrade about to finish. We will not see +3 carapace yet. Solar is absolutely strapped for cash, even though he's got 85 drones. Resources lost will show you why. 6k resource loss difference. It's expensive. It's been an expensive game for him. It's definitely not been easy. And now GuMiho, as the more bases get taken, the rush distance between bases become even shorter. So GuMiho's going to find himself on top of this base almost immediately. Not enough Banelings ready just yet from Solar. Now we'll begin to engage in. His other Bane's about to finish. Now he backs away. Okay, he's losing a lot right now. It's moments before he's going to be able to have himself what he really needs, which is the Lurkers. Lurkers would make a world of difference against a GuMiho who's not set up or teched up against them in the slightest. Thanes are running past Marauders to aim for Marines, but it means the Marauders have just stood in the front dealing damage, and it looks as though eventually we find our 1-1 here between GuMiho and Solar. It took a little while longer, but we got there in the end, and it is going to kind of, again, fascinating because we've not yet seen it, but these bases, numbers 5, 6, and 7 for each player, are blocked by rocks, and they have 10 mineral patches per base. So they're just big mineral income bases. We haven't seen them used yet, but maybe we'll see them. This map is pretty big, but it has this kind of dreamcatchery effect in the middle, all these ledges and stuff, something which you can definitely utilize a lot as a Terran player. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something Solo's currently complaining about, because, yeah, the ledges definitely, This map beats Submarine? In what way? Question mark. Alright, well, it's definitely big, by the way. I mean, that's one thing you cannot deny about this map. It's big, but I feel like there's a lot of tendencies and things which, you know, just with the ledges that definitely help a Terran despite the size. So, yeah, interesting one for sure in that regard. Map layout is terrible for Zerg. Yeah, it is funny because I think it's big, but I don't want to say it's like Zerg's favorite. Otherwise, I would have been like, this is crazy. So is it real that all the 5th bases have rocks? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Pretty wild, huh? Pretty wild. I kind of enjoy seeing the players kind of be like, wait, what? All these crazy things, and they're like, no way. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. How broken. It is interesting, like, because the rocks are meant to be there, so you can't take a 5th too quickly to take the insane kind of mineral, 10-patch mineral base, but then, obviously, a Zerg kind of wants a 5th base early-ish anyways, and then you have to take rocks down to get that. It's a little bit tough, right? It's a little bit tough. Ten-patch mineral base, yeah. All 3 of them. Oh my god. Dead Reaper. Yeah, all 3 of these are 10 patches. Absolutely wild. You can afford so many Zerglings. So many spores, so many spines. It's disgusting. Gonna see the triple CC on the way up here from GuMiho, so getting that established early. A shame to lose the Reaper. A little bit of uncertainty perhaps about what will be to come from there. Due to that, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. Solar's kind of macaron, so this time GuMiho will go unpunished. Reddit's been complaining at you that this map's too strong for mech. Well, because they can take this base, and I guess because the 4 bases are pretty well defended. You can defend your corner very nicely, right? But then going to base 5 would be kind of tough for mech, no? Yeah. I mean, I guess a 5th base is meant to be tougher to find in general, but I do feel like a 5th base would be create a little bit of issue. little wander forward. Nothing too exciting as we see an Overlord dying. Viking going to go on the hunt for another Overlord as well. Yeah, Hellions actually going to sneak in and get a few drones. Doing pretty well for themselves as a few workers will go down. Just going to be seeing a few queens getting out to the front, and have this Viking around the top side going to hit the Overlord. So Overlord taking quite a bit of damage. I mean, it's actually been quite a good few moments from GuMiho. 6 drones, 2 lings, 2 Overlords. The only thing he lost was the Reaper, which had nothing to do with this slew of aggression. So yeah, it's definitely been a nice few moments from him. It's definitely a map where I guess Hellions can do pretty well. Like, they can really rotate around this entire area. You'd want to spread creep out very freely. Where, and obviously, yeah, you know, they can get to like a lot of the edges of the creep quite nicely, and you can poke into this space quite quickly. And if you come in from this far side, maybe you can sneak in over here very quickly as well. So for the early game Hellions, it definitely feels pretty reasonable. Separator will show up for a bit of harass here as well, as Hellions continue to pick off a few creep tumors here and there. 1-1 upgrades are producing as the Spore Crawler doesn't quite get rid of the Liberator, unfortunately. Just doesn't quite manage it. Hellions will fight at the front. This Queen will take a few more shots of damage. And we do see GuMiho storming ahead with the upgrades at the very least, so getting into that 1-1 very quickly. Our reactors building across the board from GuMiho, powering up onto all of his additional racks. And Solo for the moment just going to start an extra round of lings, 66 drones, getting a 4th base established. He will need some lings not only to defend, but also to start working on some of these rocks for when he wants to start taking his 5th base. So that will definitely be a factor. Yeah, what's up, Eric Crunch? Welcome everyone from the raid. Hope you guys are doing well. Castle some Team Look at Map Contest Tournament again today, Group D here, as it's our final group before the playoffs over the weekend. So and GuMiho are tied up 1-1, and Hellions are just giving themselves up a little bit there. We have a few more Hellions on the right. It's a lot of Hellions, right? He built like 12 Hellions, which is more than usual when you're then playing Bio. And kind of working as he gets a few more drones. The Hellions go down. The investment of these Hellions does mean that you've slowed down your barracks production a bit, so while it is nice to do this damage, stuff like, you know, initial Marine medevac drops are a little bit later than usual, because the Marine count's just not really been there as quickly. So it has been very kind of early game unit focused, I guess, from GuMiho in that sense. As a little Ling run by, we'll find a couple of kills. Probably going to see most of these Lings going down. I really do feel like Solo probably at some point soon needs to start thinking about those rocks, though. Again, if you want a 5th base, you got to go through the rocks. I mean, you could take a macro hatch initially, then a 5th base a bit later on. You might just have to take a 5th as a macro hatch initially, actually. And that might be something he just doesn't get much of a choice in. Just ends up kind of being forced to do because you just need the hatchery before you have a chance to kill the rocks off. We're going to come pushing up this right-hand side. It is no Baneling speed still here from Solo, so that's going to hurt. No Bane speed is actually really bad. That's actually rough. I mean, he definitely had Bane speed available to build way sooner than he did, so he's definitely forgotten it. And yeah, without a Baneling speed, hard to fight off these Marines, even on creep. A few Hydra's going to try and help out. Good news right now is some of these medevacs are low HP, so there's not a lot of healing going on. A little Wood of Mind connection is going to help. And Solo actually hold on against this, as the few extra Bane's going to be finishing up. Just going to be seeing Marines and Mines making their way down to the center. Let's do melee. So upgrades on the way up as well. It's another advantage GuMiho has. So all the upgrades of Solo have been kind of later, right? Bane speed, the 2-2. Now losing these Queens, Hydras and Banes need to get forward here and try to fight this off. GuMiho just working his way forward onto that little bit of creep, but nearly losing a full medevac, the sort of thing that Solo could have probably done with a little bit here, just giving that little bit of additional help. A couple of Overseers go down, flying back into the main. I'm going to get rid of this Spore as well. It's just GuMiho freeing up space to utilize these drops in. got a Hydra that gets rid of one medevac at least, so a small win there. Solar did eventually clean out the top left side rocks, by the way, so we have got a 10 mineral patch base coming up in the top left-hand corner, but it's being cancelled straight away by a group of Marines. So, unfortunately, we're not seeing one of those big mineral-focused bases come into play just yet. And GuMiho will now start to work his way through a lot of the creep spread on the left-hand side as well. Another Widow Mine going off, a few Lings going down. And our Marines, Marauders, joining up together are plentiful, waiting for another attack in, as GuMiho has been pretty much dictating the pacing of these attacks and these trades. Definitely what you want to be doing as a Terran player, so Gumi will be happy about that. Right now, getting overrun a little bit. Took a while for him to lift and get out of there. There is a couple of Widow Mines that are ready to blow up, and they do get decent connections on the first few Lings before they go down themselves. Now, though, Solo's getting a little bit of momentum, continuing to push forward. Can GuMiho get enough units here to really push this Hydra force back? There are still Banelings as well, which means that there's still a bit of splash damage threatening the Marines. That's the problem for Solo. The moment he has to pull away is the moment he will get chased and lose a lot. He has Lings running in to help, but yeah, they kind of need to get there. They got held up by the drop. Okay, well, a bit of back and forth on both sides, but Solo's showing a bit more life than he has done in a while. It's a bit of a better trade for him, as these Lings will end up coming straight down here over onto this depot. Liberator getting a bit of a cleanup. Some workers being saved by them Liberator shots, keeping the Lings at bay. Just going to be seeing the Bioforce. Get them loaded up into the medevacs again. We'll start to see them coming back up the left-hand side. 3-3 upgrades are now well underway for GuMiho. Being able to maintain upgrade lead pretty much throughout the game is always very powerful. Always something that's very nice to have on your side. Is going to go dropping into the main again, so GuMiho is just very active with these drops. Just very active in this game in general, never really kind of slowing it down. He's going to hit the top left base one more time, by the way, so Solo has to defend this base. He does cancel it. He started to move into position to defend it. He just couldn't really get there, especially with the lack of creep spread. And that's all benefits all of GuMiho having been aggressive pretty much throughout this entire game. Some more Lings down the right side, aiming for some of these Marauders, knocking those down, clearing them out. We got Banes rolling forward as well. Marines are on the run. Solo have enough to continue into these last few units. He's out of Banelings, but you know what? He's starting to kill the medevacs as well, which is really nice. Stop some of the drop play. In the top left, there's a bit of action as well. This entire army gets wiped out over here. We've been engaging in and out, it would seem. Looks as though the Bio and the Hydras both agree to back away more or less at the same time. The most important thing is that Solo's still only on 4 bases. The income for him would have loved to have been much higher if he can just get to base 5. Will the Lurkers help him get there? They'll definitely help. Will they be enough for him to get there, though? Will they actually be the solution for him to get there? That part is a little bit tougher to say. Fire will come down, knocking at these bottom right-hand corner rocks. Lingbane Hydra still moving around a little. Just going to see some rocks on the right side. Going to get knocked out as well. Going to take those down in the next few moments. Our Lings will get a Marauder. Now a mine. Oh, another mine connects, though. So it's trailing on supply. I feel like right now is not the moment he needs to be chasing, though. Right now is the moment where he's about to hit Lurkers. So get a few Lurkers up, right? This is actually very similar to that first game where Solo was on the verge of getting Lurkers, but he just didn't quite get to them. And GuMiho had nothing to deal with Lurkers. But like, he doesn't have anything that really says, oh, I'm going to be able to deal with it. Like, no ghosts, no tanks. Lurkers are actually really good for Solo right now, and actually might just make this position unengageable for GuMiho, which would give Solo a break, which he much, much needs. Once GuMiho's response to there being Lurkers. I mean, this narrow pathway is obviously perfect for Lurkers to defend as well, so I think it's going to be held onto. And there's the Ghost Academy. 2 more gases from GuMiho as well, recognizing he needs to tech up from here. He can't just sit around on the army he's been building, on the income he's been having. He needs to make some adjustments, and that's exactly what he begins to do with the gases in the Ghost Academy. Solo finally gets a break. He will get that base in the top left side. GuMiho does have a 5th base of his own. So obviously both players having a 5th is really nice. Just going to be seeing our Hydras in position to immediately deal with these medevacs. They get pushed back without an issue. Lings in the bottom corner got picked off, and GuMiho's taking another base in location, just taking base after base after base. Which, to be fair, is not the wrong idea, because Solar probably feels like he can finally breathe. So he's like, oh god, I'm finally out of the, out of trouble. So he's not going to attack anytime soon. So yeah, get these bases up and online, while Solar kind of gets set back up, fixes his issues, and obviously gets that lurker count rolling a bit higher. Obviously, Solar might need to actually start attacking with that base coming up. But we do see GuMiho's making a push up the left side with a good chunk of army. Again, just good play. And this ability to kind of lift up from that right side, threatening that base, and then drop into the main. It's such a long run around for the Zerg to get back in the main. It's actually a really great place to play around, as we do see Lurkers burrowing up in the top left. So for now, they will protect that base. That was necessary. Solar could not afford to lose a 5th base again. He needs that income to keep him going. 15.5 minutes into Lazarus Wastes. It is somewhat essential. This map the other day reminded me of Jagannatha with the base layout, and I feel like when we saw Jagannatha, the Zergs did take the corner base, but they were also very proactive about taking the base that's on like the right side of the map for Solar, the one his army's on now. Specifically because if you don't take it, it does give the Terran a lot of options to then just go jumping into the main base afterward a lot of the time, right? And that's what we're seeing GuMiho doing repeatedly here. As 9 SCVs go down, his Lings will at least be dealt with. Can't kill anything else. As Lurkers are not burrowed. Solar! Loses 3 or so initially, will lose 4. Good catch from GuMiho. I wonder if Solar would have been good to just burrow those Lurkers immediately, and he would have just done a bit better, would have maybe traded out. Now the Lurkers are out of position, though, so this position here is becoming a little bit tougher to defend. Parasitic bombs going down, Lurkers fighting to get back in place. Solar is, again, just continuing to trail on supply throughout. Ghosts were thinking about firing up a storm onto those Lurkers, doesn't quite get to commit to it. A couple more Lurkers burrowing up. Lings will run in, missile turret under fire. Ghosts going to be firing up a storm again. A few Lurkers getting shot in. Just going to be seeing the parasitic bombs coming through. Medivacs will continue to take a lot of damage from those parasitic bombs, and that's good for Solar. Getting rid of some of the Medivacs. Some remaining Lurkers get scanned at the very end. We just need to burrow some of the healthier ones up. Will they be enough to hold against this last bit of bio? I don't think so. I think GuMiho might have actually just broken through. Solar's going to lose all the Lurkers. Now his Vipers again sniped. Unfortunately, all the snipes went on the same Lurker, which was a bit interesting, but nonetheless is going to make this a push forward from GuMiho. Still 35-40 army supply ahead, and Solar struggling to stop it. Chaotic Flight and Medivacs continue to get blown up by parasitic bombs. 55 SCVs to 71 drones in the game. Solar with a very comfortable amount of income. He just needs an army that can fight. And with no Medivacs in play, it almost feels like he's right on the borderline of being able to fight this. I mean, no healing really weakens this Terran army compared to usual. Snipe's not going off as the Lurkers hit the ghosts to cancel their attacks. For the moment, Solar is holding. Here come a couple reinforcing Medivacs. We actually lost vision there, so the snipe didn't go off. We'll load up instantly into the main base, a play which we've just seen GuMiho do repeatedly here on Lazarus Way. This has been non-stop with this position. 10,000 resource loss difference at the moment, and that's recoverable for Solar if he doesn't let GuMiho take the final base of the game. So he really needs to just make sure that's something that happens, though, right? Really needs to make sure that base never gets set up, as you do see Lurkers burrowing and a bit of bio getting pushed back already. Link surrounding, killing off one Marauder, looking for another. Scanning out, Ghosts, Medivacs, Marines, and Widow Mines all continuing to be built here. I'm just going to see some of these Widow Mines going to burrow and go elsewhere. GuMiho has had the supply lead pretty much all game long, and especially army supply has always been ahead for him. Solar's definitely been playing a game from behind. Does he have the Lurkers here in time? He gets them burrowed. He loses 2 on the way in. Looks like this hatchery is dead, right? Well, the Ling's showing up. Oh. Well, the Widow Mines are pretty brutal, right? As the Lurkers get forward one more time. 2 of the 4 go down. We have enough. I mean, he's just about going to stay alive. Keeping the base going as well is obviously important. I mean, there's still Terran units here as well, and they unload back behind the mineral line. Losing a few more drones, losing a bit of his income lead, which he's been holding on to up until this point. So making full use of the extra patches in that top left-hand base. So again, we'll sustain off of, you know, it's possible to sustain off these bases just that little bit longer because of that extra couple of patches, and I'm sure that helps Solo to kind of survive while he, you know, once he finally got into 5 bases, it then helped him survive on 5 bases that little bit. Kind of sick bombing and medevac, just going to be seeing the bio on the top side, going to find a couple of units once again, a couple of ghost sniping. Separate off to the left, going to get hit as a Hydra comes through, and going to be seeing that Ghost pushing up the right-hand side as well. Going to find some lurkers for free. Just as things maybe look as though they're like settling down a bit for Soul, he immediately kind of has like a horrendous something happen, right? Like, as GuMiho doesn't actually pull back away here immediately, but Widow Mines get burrowed. The Widow Mines just blew up everything! Oh my goodness, Medevac's included. Widow Mines just went on a destructive streak. Solar, I don't think he has the lurkers to really hold, but maybe his units are low HP. Oh, there's a lurker still in the middle there! Oh my goodness, I didn't see it. Everyone's having a tough time in this game so far, and nobody is having an easy go of it in the slightest. Sniping, sniping, sniping. Snipes have been very good. A big part of this as we do see our lurkers getting forward again. We get one snipe off. We have to step away from the lurkers as we're unable to make our way through them. A couple of Hydras going down as they rally in from the wrong angle. GuMiho resources lost in his favor, 13,000. And it's not like Sola's taking the extra base to make up for that, I think, is the issue, right? At this point, it feels like if Sola gets an extra base, he's going to camp out on an extra base, and then eventually GuMiho is just going to be able to take his own extra base as well, you know? I think that's the problem. This entire game didn't really have enough momentum to it for Sola. As a bomb and medevac, Lings and Bane still coming through. And the Bio Army having to continue to retreat away. A couple of mines being picked up. I'm just going to be seeing, I mean, GuMiho at this point is even opening up the map a little bit, taking out some rocks here. Not more Lingbane from Solar as he's... I want to say he's on a better supply than he's been in a while, which is probably true, but I feel like he's on less lurkers than he's been on in a while as well. I say better supply, I mean in comparison to GuMiho. About a 20-ish army supply difference. I feel like GuMiho's had a 30 army supply advantage for a while. I'm not sure if that 10 would make much difference at all overall, but we have our Link still trying to find ways in, trying to find battles here. Things wanting to go up this ramp, but going to be blocked off, and that's obviously Sola losing quite a few Lings. And again, every unit counts so much for Sola. The plus side is he's keeping GuMiho back. I think what's been very interesting in this game is that GuMiho's really made good use of the left versus right side of the map and, you know, attacking up those different lanes. It's been kind of tough for Sola to be able to deal with GuMiho going up and down those different lanes and kind of hitting the left side hard while the right side's been under fire. Look, it's got burrowed here to be able to deal with that push of GuMiho that was heading up the left just then. And Sola starts to look at base number 7. Gets that set up to the right side of the map. And it's interesting because obviously GuMiho doesn't really want to take the left side final base just yet, because he wants to protect the bottom right corner of the map. He can't really have both those sides going at the same time, because then Sola might actually be able to do some split pushing of his own. So GuMiho is actually setting up to maybe take the far right side 3 o'clock base himself. But obviously if Sola can take that base and defend that base, then you're essentially taking one of the bases the Terran player wants away from them. And that could have quite the impact, as we do have our Lings, Hydras, Lurkers all setting up. This Hatcher on this right side in a bit of trouble, but now the Lings are going to swarm forward. And some decent surrounds. Blinding Cloud helping to push a lot of the bio away. Ling Bane continuing to come through, connecting into a lot of this bio. The Bane's actually getting a connection as well. Sola takes a supply lead for the first time in a long time. And Sola, with GuMiho pushed with his back against the wall, Solo is actually able to take an army supply lead for the first time, and even just an overall supply lead for the first time in what, like 20 minutes or something? It's been an eternity, it feels like, since that has been the case. Some snipes coming through, some ghosts are cloaked and getting some shots off. Well, this game might just go on a little bit longer still. Wow. Obviously, Solo really wants to hold on to this right side base. GuMiho is going to contend that as much as he can. Like I say, GuMiho has to defend on this side of the map. The Widow Mines are going to be good here. I thought they were going to be even better, perhaps. The Solo crashing in. This time, not a supply lead coming out of it, although he is killing a couple of the ghosts. The Hydras are really standing up for themselves on the right side. There's no medevac healing. I think a big part of the issue here, just not any real sustainability on the Terran forces during these fights. Still with another round of Ling Bang coming up. Does he have enough? One Lurker in play. There's only one Ghost left from GuMiho as well. They're both kind of being reset down to low tech. It's kind of funny, right? But oh, these Lings are a little bit caught. Can Solo do something with it? He's going to try and run and buy time with them to get other units here. Dots out. Yeah, I mean, good try, Solo, but that was obviously only to run into a Widow Mine. I mean, it buys time where the Bioforce at least wasn't able to kind of take place. Like I said, for GuMiho, I'm a bit worried about him trying to take that far left-sided base and also having the right side at the same time to defend. Solo will lose one of his bases, though. Oh, but a full medevac goes down. We're at the point where every single unit is starting to count for a lot. An efficiency like that is going to put Solo into a very fun position. $61.3 to 49.5k resources lost. As you see, about, what, a 12,000 difference? It's being maintained at about a 12k difference. When I talked about it earlier, it was like 13k, I think. There's a couple of CCs, not going to have a good time here. The main base orbital's over here as well. I'm not sure why. Solo will be in trouble losing this base on the right side. He's just lost the base on the left. So actually, Solo's going to have a bit of an income problem here. He will not actually have a healthy mining base for the moment. But he's attacking in with some Lings, and he's... I don't know if it's as meaningful as what GuMiho just did. Because realistically, if Solo was going to deny a base, he wants to deny this base right over on this side. So, yeah, not doing that puts him in a bit of trouble. "27 minutes here on Lazarus Waste so far. It's absolutely been a little wild. And we're definitely not done yet. I mean, each of these fights still has a big question mark over which way it's going to go. Again, Bane's rolling in. I feel like we've seen this fight before. Does GuMiho have enough space to kite away from those Banelings with? I think so. I think he's won this fight. He's got so much bio, actually. My goodness, GuMiho with the crazy amount of units. And Solo does not have enough at all. GG has to be called. GuMiho will take Game 3, win this series 2-1.